Let's get them going here. The Canadian industry leader is CTO at Dialogue, Alexis Smirnov. Come on out, Alexis, when you get here. Welcome. Nice to have you here. Sorry, Marceau, here you are being rushed by me. J'apologie. SVP Data and Intelligence at Alaya Care is Naomi Goldapple. She'll be coming out. Welcome, Naomi. From Roche, Justin Mallet. Come on out, Justin. The CEO of Signal One is Mara Lederman. Welcome, Mara. And the Head of Innovation and Artificial Intelligence at Chum, Kathy Mala, is joining us. And the CEO of Metal Loop is René Casey, who's also going to be joining us. It's going to be a full house.
The podium.
Our two startups, CEO and founder of Grey Oncology, André Diamant, is joining us, along with the CEO and founder of Integrate AI, Steve Irvine, also joining us here. And Sue, you have your hands full, Sue. You got a big group for you here. She is the CEO of Digital Supercluster, and she's helping run this entire thing. Welcome, Sue. It's all yours. Take it away.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour tout le monde. Let me frame this a little bit. In 2023, 23.9% of total tax revenue in Canada have been spent on healthcare. That's $331 billion. In 2000, 8.9% of our GDP was spent on healthcare. By 2010, that number had gone to 11.6%, and as of last year, close to 14%. That's the second highest spend in the OECD countries on healthcare. We are the second lowest performer of the 11 OECD countries when it comes to healthcare outcomes. That's not a good story, but here's the good story. We have the brains, we have the ability, we have the experience, and we have the determination to change that. And the people on this stage to my right and left are leading the charge. Let's turn first to, where are you? There you are, my friend. Let's turn first to, I should tell you guys to run a show here, because it is a little bit like a Barnum and Bailey circus, okay? So we're gonna have a three-part series here. First of all, I'm gonna have a conversation with an exceptional entrepreneur who has really put a dent in some of those numbers that I just talked about. Then we're going to go over to the left here, and we're going to hear from our panel of experts, and we're going to need your help here to cheer them on as we try and stay to time, because we could literally spend, in fact, we should spend the rest of the day here on this stage, right, guys? You guys would learn a lot. We're going to have a panel discussion, and then we're going to hear from two AI healthcare startups who are going to do a pitch. If you are investors, you're going to hear from two incredible companies. So let's kick off. Alexi, co-founder and CTO of Dialogue, a global leader in healthcare and in telemedicine, and a remarkable statement that says it all. Healthcare is everything. Don't settle. Why don't you tell us a little bit of the story? You've had an incredible journey. Why don't you tell us a little bit of the origin story and how you grew Dialogue the way you grew it, and the stumbles that you made and the hurdles that you had to clear?
Sure, Sue. Hello, everybody. And this is a great setup, and these numbers, near and dear to my heart. I still remember these pitch decks when we were starting a company in 2016. Guess what? The things have actually not changed systemically since 2016. But what have changed is the technology advance and the recognition of this problem have advanced. In 2016, when we started Dialogue, we've made an observation that there's very easy to make. Access to great healthcare in Canada is a deep issue. We started in Quebec, where it's especially pronounced. We started with primary care. We've decided to build a service that allows our members to see a doctor on the phone, and to get a prescription, to send a lab request, to get a follow-up on the phone. So do the things that we just generally associate with the experience that is vastly different from what I've just described, which is going to a walk-in clinic, sitting for several hours, seeing a doctor for like 30 seconds, and then you go off to continue your care journey by yourself. When we started, we quickly achieved the product market fit because the problem, as you said, is so acute. But what also happened is we had a front row seat to understand just how inefficient the healthcare system is from the inside out, and how many opportunities it is, not only in a patient-facing provision of care, but also in the back office. And just so it happens, when you're running and growing a company, you're hiring software engineers, you're hiring doctors and nurses, you have all the motivation in the world to automate what can be automated and to maximize the time that the doctors spend with patients. And so since then, we've been on that path, and AI was really a part of that evolution every step of the way. We tried all kinds of things. Of course, we started with what's currently called classical AI, with these models and kind of even rule-based systems. We tried to do some reinforcement learning. That didn't work. But what we've ended up with is a system that allows us to automate a great deal of formulaic and mundane work that healthcare workers are doing. They haven't went to healthcare to do paperwork. They went to see patients. And so automating that part is a big deal for them. And that's a massive application for AI for us today, is automating the back office.
So let me pull on that string a minute. So did you build a platform that's patient-facing, or did you build a platform that's provider-facing, or is there an interface there? Because a lot of healthcare systems now, this is one person's point of view, so throw rocks here, not anybody else. A lot of health system services and technologies are provider-centric, and patients are left to navigate the wilderness and react to those. One person's point of view. So help us understand that.
You're absolutely right. We had to do both. We had to build a patient-facing platform and a provider-facing platform at the same time. When we started in 2016, there was no scalable platform to provide virtual care services and a variety of virtual care services to patients. And then there was another detail. We're kind of, the founding team was a team that understands design and consumer experience. We grew up with Airbnb and Uber and on our phones. And then there's healthcare. And healthcare, you can't just put healthcare on par with Uber and Airbnb when it comes to consumer experience. And so we set up to change that as well. So in order to do that, you have to advance both sides at the same time. Now, when it comes to AI, of course you put boundaries. Of course you don't make AI make medical judgments or treatments decisions autonomously. That's why we have care team providers. But apart from that, there's a tremendous amount of use cases where AI can be member or patient-facing, as well as back office automation use cases.
So let me pull on that string of providers and citizens and deployment, because I bet this room is full of people that have had tremendous ideas and perhaps even tremendous technologies that would help our healthcare system, but hit somewhat of a brick wall, if I can use that term, when it comes to the adoption of those technologies in Canada. And so tell us a little bit of the story around how you were able to get your technology adopted, not so much by citizens, because I think citizens are thirsty for this kind of thing, but the reaction from providers and health systems. So regulators, if you will.
Yeah, this is actually a tale of, there's two stories to tell here.
I bet there is.
The providers that the dialogue attracts are some of the best doctors and nurses and care coordinators and practitioners that you will ever meet. We set the highest bar for medical quality and search the best people we can find. And what I've noticed is they are very open to applying technology in their practice, as long as this technology is built in a way that allows them to spend more time with the patient, allows them to make medical decisions using their experience, allows them to create that connection with the patient, to empathize with the patient. And so if you build a system that allows for that, I think you won't find a problem attracting healthcare providers. Now, on the flip side, there's a healthcare system, of course, that is designed systemically in certain way, that is optimized not around patient experience, but around, frankly, cost of doing business or the other considerations. Obviously, running a system at the scale of a country is very different from running a dialogue operation. We have 900 people in total at the company, so software engineers and doctors and nurses, and we're serving around 15% of Canadian population with that number of people. So the scale, but the efficiency factors are vastly different. What we've noticed is the current healthcare systems are certainly need to change their mindset and perhaps their kind of risk calculus when it comes to adopting new technologies. That's you do need to take risks in order to move forward. That's where you get that reward, and we've been working very closely with a range of healthcare systems, and we're very open and always consider ourselves. Our role is to educate these healthcare systems and explain to them how we can adopt these technologies. But it's been years in the making, and we're making progress, but very, very slow. So that's if I were to change something, I would change that risk attitude in the healthcare system.
So if any of you have a solution to that problem, just let us know, because I think we're probably going to hear that on this side of the table as well. So given that, and obviously a huge amount of perseverance and determination to push that tide back so that you can get it deployed, what's your revenue model?
So we sell a range of health and wellness services to organizations, and they pay us per member per month. So organizations that care about their members, the employers, large and small, government organizations, associations. And so when people get dialogue on their phone, it's free for them. They don't take out the credit card. So we're actually found a new source of funding for the healthcare system, which is the benefits budget of organizations. And so that's why we consider ourselves a partner with our kind of single payer system.
Do they know that? Is there a health system, whether it's a provincial or a regional health system, that realizes that the dialogue platform implemented through employers is reducing overall healthcare costs? Is that known in any region or province?
Well, I think the best example is Quebec. Not only does Quebec know, but they went as far as amending the law to inscribe into the law the business model of dialogue as something there's kind of a medical act over virtual care there's now inscribed into law as something that is permissible. Other provinces follow suit, but certainly virtual care is still a new thing, relatively speaking. If we take government timelines, so there is some of these systems do realize the potential of dialogue. Some still need to go through a learning phase, definitely.
Well, you've made huge progress in a otherwise insurmountable against an insurmountable challenge that many others have faced. So congratulations. And now for your last comment, paint the picture of the future for us through the lens of dialogue and your experience to date. You've got 1 minute or less.
It's hard to make predictions, especially about the future, as you know, and especially in AI. The field develops so rapidly that it's impossible to make a prediction of what's going to be in 10 years. One thing that is quite certain, that if you take the amount of people who are doing useful work, in 3 to 5 years, there's a meaningful percentage of that work will be automated, will be replaced by these intelligence machines. And so you need to build systems today to account for that shift. And that starts with the mindset of embracing that revolution we're living in. And even though you can make predictions about how AI will develop, they're probably going to be wrong. That trend is here to stay, and we just need to assume it and move forward knowing that.
Well, you've done what many wish to do. Thank you for doing that on behalf of us and all of our kids and grandkids. Building a better and a healthier Canada is the life mission of many of us. So lots to learn from you, and good luck on the journey forward. I'm now going to shift over to this side, and we've got an A-star team here, 5-star team, A+ team, and we could literally spend the afternoon listening to these incredible leaders. But we've got 30 minutes, so here's the run of show. Each one of the individuals is going to do a short introduction about their organization and what they've been doing, and the journey of their organization in AI. Then we're going to have a little bit of a conversation, see what comes from that, and we have a couple of questions. So we're going to kick off with Naomi. I just want to make sure we're all lined up in the same way I thought you were. Naomi Goldapple, who's, I just love this title, the SVP of Data and Intelligence. Wouldn't you like to have the title of the Senior Vice President of Intelligence at AlayaCare? AlayaCare is an incredible, fast-growing company across Canada, recently named as one of only 8 organizations in the country admitted to the Government of Canada's hyper-growth program, and recently raised $225 million in Series D. So Naomi, tell us a little bit of the origin story around AI and AlayaCare and how it's supporting this rather incredible growth that you've got. Over to you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Sue, and thanks to everyone. I think one thing to note is the impressive numbers that Sue had started her talk about in terms of the costs of healthcare. That actually doesn't include home care. So that's just the healthcare system. So the home care system is a little bit like the poor cousin of healthcare, but that can't be any longer because the silver tsunami is not only coming, but it's here. So that means that the baby boomers are all getting older. Probably everybody here knows at least somebody that's turned 100 or that is 100. And there simply isn't enough of us to take care of them. And statistics show that everybody ages better and does better at home rather than in an institution or in a hospital. So we want to, and the governments want to help people to age with dignity and live longer and have a better quality of life at home. So now, ever since COVID as well, there's a big problem in terms of the labor in this industry. So there isn't enough caregivers, there aren't enough nurses to go around to everybody's homes to help. So everything that we do is aimed towards trying to solve that problem, trying to help use technology, leverage technology to try and make the whole system more efficient. So that could be, one of it is we use AI to do prediction models to see which caregivers are at risk of leaving and try to mitigate that so that they don't leave the system. One of the ways we do that is using schedule and route optimization models so that we can make sure that everybody is spending much less time getting to visits and spending more time at visits, and also making them happier because they have schedules that they enjoy. And then, of course, using technology to help them to direct who is most at risk of being hospitalized, who needs the care the most. So using prediction algorithms to be able to say who's at risk of hospitalization and making sure that we can switch around the schedules, make sure that those people get the care that they need at the time that they need. So this is the way that we've been using AI. And of course, most recently, really taking advantage of the large language models, because there's a hell of a lot of notes that happen in this industry. So there's a lot of nursing notes, there's overview notes, there's visit notes, and sometimes there's gold and really important information that's contained in these notes. And now with the large language models, we can have auto-summarization, which is really helping to make it more efficient. So in terms of the challenges, it's always about adoption, because you have people in the industry who've been used to doing things their own way for a very long time. So they have to trust that, they have to start to trust the model, trust that it can give them information that's going to be helpful, and use it as decision support, and use that to be able to make their jobs more efficient.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to speed it up here. Justin, over to you. We started with a small company startup. Roche is not a startup or a small company, 125 years on the planet, certainly a world leader in diagnostics, in vitro diagnostics. And Justin is the health system partner in AI, and I think you have a PhD in molecular biology, which suits you perfectly for a role in AI. So tell us a little bit about Roche's journey in AI and how that has progressed and what challenges you felt.
Merci, Sue. Bonjour tout le monde. So let me start off by saying that we at Roche, we bring the right treatment to the right patient at the right time. So I'm going to say from now is going to be tinted by this. So in this new world where our treatments are getting more personalized, we would all need to think about how do we bridge the biological science with data science, because bringing that right treatment to the right patient we will need a lot of information. So we see AI and ML as an enabler for patients, for caregivers, for the system to make better, faster decisions. And it will help clinicians in their knowledge. It will help automate process, and we'll be able to deliver some treatments who will be AI-enabled also. So how do we do this? Couple of examples. So of course, as a large organization, there are some internal efficiencies that AI can help. So just business operations using NLPs for finances, for HRs. We're also dabbling in large language models, but being very, very careful because of the nature of data that we are using. And we're also, of course, using AI for treatment development. So drug development, I think, is the first thing that comes up in everyone's mind when it comes to using AI in some molecule targeting. We're also embedding AI in some products because we're both pharma and diagnostic companies. So we have some tools using computer vision, automated decision making, and some high throughput machines who are using, of course, some ML to do this. And some parts we're doing ourselves, some parts we're doing in partnership. We're very proud to be the first healthcare company that has secured a partnership with all 3 AI research institutes in Canada, trying to work with all of the forces in Canada to develop new ways of delivering care here, and also some commercial partnership. One of them would be the recursion that I could talk about. It's one Canadian example where we're partnering to use their recursion OS to do some drug development.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we've got the small, AlayaCare is not really small. mid-sized company. We've got the world-leading company. And now we're going to go to Signal One and Mara Letterman, and co-founder and COO.
Yep.
See, I've given a lot of them promotions, by the way, in the practice. They were all CEOs, but COO and co-founder of Signal One. Professor at Rotman, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Signal One is, and then how you're using AI, and we're going to go lickety-split. Over to you.
Okay, so just before I jump into Signal One, I want to double down on what Sue said about the absolute economic imperative for getting AI into healthcare. I'm an economist by training, so I think I can sort of speak to the economic imperative, and I think it's worthwhile, given the crowd in the room, to frame this in a simple way we can think of, which is a massive mismatch of demand and supply. Our healthcare system in Canada does not have the capacity to deliver healthcare, high quality, timely to Canadians. And there's no way that we're going to do that by building more hospital beds, by asking doctors and nurses to work harder, or by trying to train more healthcare staff. And so as a result, the answer has to be innovation. And as you've heard, and as we're trying to do at Signal One, AI can play a massive role there by trying to help our existing resources be more productive. How do the same number of hospitals and doctors and nurses and pharmacists and home care workers deliver care to more patients? So that's where Signal One comes in. That's exactly the problem we're trying to solve, and we're starting with hospitals. We offer hospitals an enterprise-grade platform that allows them to deploy and scale AI across their organization. In practice, that means we do two things. We bring them AI algorithms that make predictions about patients' journey and care needs in the hospital that are sent directly to doctors and nurses and that inform care decisions every day. And second, we offer the entire software platform around that. So we have the entire platform that allows the data to go into the predictive models, to generate insights, and to get this back to the healthcare workers where and when they want it, whether it's in a medical record at the bedside or as a text message. Right now, we're in 3 hospitals in Ontario. We have one solution, for example, that predicts when patients are about 2 days away from discharge, and it's used in these hospitals every day in multidisciplinary rounds to help focus the conversation between discharge planners and the clinical team on which patients are highest priority. So that's what we do. In terms of, how do we get further down this journey, and picking up on some of Alexi's things, and maybe we'll come back to this. The thing I would say that when it comes to healthcare in AI, or AI in healthcare, the AI is the easiest part of that. The hardest part is everything that goes around that, the engineering work, the change management, the procurement, the legal, the privacy, the governance. But the AI part, and maybe it's not a cool thing for a non-computer scientist to say, so throw rocks as Sue invited, is actually the part we know how to do at this point. So let me pause there.
The AI is the easy part. The adoption is the tougher part.
Everything
and I think
around it.
if we've got entrepreneurs in the audience here, I think you'd probably hear that in every element of innovation in the health system. And we're not going to have a crying table about that. We're going to talk about how we can change it. But let's keep moving, because I want to get to that conversation. Sorry, I've allowed you to go too long. So Kathy Malas is the associate to the president and CEO of Shum. And take us away. I think most people in the audience here know who Shum is, but you might want to give a little intro and talk about the adoption of some of these technologies and AI in Shum.
Sure. Je vais commencer en français, puis je vais basculer en anglais tout de suite après. Donc, le CHUM, c'est un centre, I'll say it because francophones know the CHUM. So it's a university, hospital center, tertiary, quaternary care, integrates different missions, research, teaching, innovation, patient partnership, and management, good management to improve health of population. Pourquoi le CHUM a décidé en 2018, et avec notre ancien directeur général qui est là, d'intégrer de façon responsable et éthique l'IA pour les patients et l'organisation et la société, c'est pour créer plus de valeur. Valeur selon les 5 objectifs en santé, l'IA pour augmenter l'accès aux soins, l'expérience du patient, la qualité des soins. Et après, André va donner un exemple tangible de comment on est capable d'augmenter l'accès. Deuxième, on veut aussi augmenter l'équité et la santé populationnelle. Comment on est capable d'augmenter la qualité de vie des citoyens en croisant des données réelles en milieu de vie avec d'autres données clinico-administratives ou génétiques pour améliorer la qualité de vie des patients. On veut de l'IA pour optimiser les ressources et réduire les coûts de la santé. Et finalement, on veut aussi de l'IA pour améliorer l'expérience employée. Et dans l'exemple aussi, c'est une de la valeur créée. How did we do it in 2018? 2018, we decided to launch a corporate strategy to integrate AI responsibly. 4 key pillars that were essential. Number 1, in order to integrate AI responsibly, we need to develop competencies and knowledge. The people that work on the ground, patients, clinicians, managers, researchers, entrepreneurs, to understand what is AI, to use it in a good manner, in an efficient manner, and ethically. We launched the first AI school, applied in health, continuous training on the ground to train people to understand what is AI and co-develop AI, more than 40,000 learners, and I'm part of them. Number 2, the second key pillar, we need infrastructure and AI expertise. The CHUM, we decided to internalize AI expertise. We launched Citadel, an expertise center in AI, where researchers, clinicians, managers, now entrepreneurs can launch a question, a problem. How can I optimize screening for diabetic retinopathy? Throw a question, get the data, clean the data, generate algorithm to respond to these problems. So internalize expertise with a data lake that enables us to crack some problems. Third pillar is we need to generate value through projects. So since 2018, a portfolio of 106 projects. Some are integrated, others stops because benefits were not there and risks were too high. But we need to generate value through a portfolio of projects. And the last pillar is, it's a responsible and a human strategy for data and AI. So how to do it in an ethical manner, responsibly at the global, how to pass from research development to operations. I'm going to conclude with 3 challenges that we were able to crack and we're continuing to crack. In order to develop solution that responds to problem, we need to co-develop these solutions with the people on the ground. So, entrepreneurs, researchers, clinicians, managers that come together, nurses, administrative agents, come together and say, what is the problem? And we're going to co-develop the solution, and we're going to do it in an iterative way. We're going to take risks, but we're going to do it together, number 1. Number 2, we need to assess value in a continuous way. Randomized controlled trial, great, but we need to do pragmatic assessment on the ground, to do rigorous assessment, but agile assessment of value in a continuous manner. Third, but not last, you mentioned it, procurement by design. We need to tend, we've been talking about it for 10 to 15 years, not procurement based on the lowest price, but procurement based on value. And that we need to continue work to crack this challenge.
We should really just bottle that and send those bottles across all of the healthcare systems in Canada. Collaboration, results-oriented, data, the kinds of things in your 3 pillars are critical to changing some of those data points that both you and I have said. And so let's end this part of the panel with somebody who's actually cracked some of those nuts. So René Casey is the CEO of Metaloop. He's a researcher, he's a surgeon, he's an innovator. I think he leaps tall buildings in a single bound based on the conversation I've had with him. He's part of the X Prize. You guys have great titles in your bios. He's part of the X Prize Brain Trust team. I think it's a fairly elite club, and you have a fantastic story. So over to you, René.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you for having me here today. We often hear that necessity is the mother of invention. So before I tell you what we do as a company, I think it's important that I describe quickly how there was a necessity and how we came up with an invention. So what I want all of you to do right now is to imagine that your 8-year-old girl comes home one day and she has severe pain that just appeared in her leg. The pain progresses. Her foot becomes blueberry blue, necrotic blue, to a point that your child can no longer go to school. You're sent home saying these are growing pains with Tylenol, and your child at night is screaming in her bed from pain. That was the necessity to this invention. Before this happened, and before moving to California to study business at Stanford and starting this AI company with my co-founder, Josh Walanowski, that's out there somewhere, I was fortunate to have been trained as a surgeon, as a scientist in neurosciences. I built an electronic medical records platform in EMR that I built for myself and that was acquired by TELUS. It's still being used here in the country. I really adored that experience of having a problem. I wanted a better EMR, building the tech to fix that problem, and I wanted to do it again. I wanted to do it in research this time. How do you fix research? How do you get through a clinical trial to clinical research projects in 10 times less time? That's what we wanted to build at Stanford. Little did I know that my little daughter was going to get sick in the interim. Here I was at Stanford already building a research platform, and my little girl was diagnosed with CRPS, a rare disease. She was hospitalized for 3 months. There's little known about this disease, and I was building tech with a bunch of smart kids from Stanford to fix research. So we pivoted and we built that product. How do you fix that rare disease where the number of patients are small, where patients are dispersed across the United States and Canada, where data is siloed across EMRs, across both countries? How do you fix that problem? So we built Metaloop. Metaloop takes in hospital databases. We connect patients. We'll connect them with EMRs. So in the United States, we connect to 16,500 hospitals and medical clinics across the country to pull in data using APIs. We connect to over 220 IoT devices, wearable devices like the Fitbit, the Apple Watch. We also pull in environmental data, all the omics, genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, exposomics, we pull in. And we clean this data, harmonize it, and we make it accessible in a graph database on a research platform to accelerate research. The platform now is deployed across the United States. We're working with the biggest research centers across the US, Stanford, UCSF for breast cancer research, UCSD, Northwestern shortly, and we've also deployed here at McGill, and we're going to be onboarding 2 rare disease cohorts. And my daughter's disease, CRPS, she is in remission now. She's doing well. But the platform has been adopted by the Stanford research team to study CRPS and find a biomarker and find trends in the data. I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Dry eyes, wet eyes. First time I heard that story, I didn't have dry eyes. So we've heard from researchers, we've heard from global leading companies, we've heard from startups, public sector, private sector. There's a theme here. There's a theme here that we can do this. Quite often, I think in Canada, we start, as I did, with the problem, but then we get drawn in by the magnetic pull of the problem. I am an eternal optimist. I am doing everything I can to build a better Canada for my kids and my grandchildren. And judging by some of the ages of people on this team, I think you're the same age as my kids. And so I'm really happy we've got young people as advanced as you are. Whoever wants to start, paint the picture of the future and how are we going to get there so that Canada's not the second bottom on the OECD results in healthcare and the second highest spender, but we've actually reversed those. How are we going to build that better Canada from a healthcare perspective? What are 2 or 3 things we need to do that we're not doing today, or that you've learned in your company that we need to leverage across systems, provinces, the whole country? You pick who starts. We have 8 minutes. Grab the mic, somebody.
I can well, just go ahead here, why not? I think what's really important, and this has been really interesting even as a panel, because you can see how many different parts there are to the entire healthcare spectrum. And so really breaking down those silos is so important. So because I'm in the home care world, I'll focus mostly on that. But even the fact that AlayaCare is named one of the hyper-growth companies in Canada, people are starting to recognize that, yes, maybe it was kind of the poor cousin of healthcare, but now it's opened up, and everybody understands that. But the important part is that we have to be able to see across the entire continuum. So from a rare diagnosis, going into the healthcare system, going into the hospital system, that being linked to research and then following back into the home, and to have technology that's helping along the way, and that all that data doesn't get lost into silos, we're going to become so much more efficient, and we're going to be able to leverage all that data to make even better solutions. So it's really, cooperation from the governments and from private and from public, and then having access to all that data so that we can see, and making sure that every part of that continuum is important and matters. To me, that's what I see, and I see those walls, those silos breaking down all the time. So it's very encouraging.
So federated data systems where we can share data without losing control or ownership of the data across public, private, large, small.
And visibility. Visibility to everybody.
It was actually announced on Wednesday. I think we've got one. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, I'll go after since it's a segue. On dit en français, ça prend un village pour élever un enfant. So we need a community, an open community of innovation based on trust, where public, private, community-based organization and citizen really take societal problems and work together. We often say that, and that's the philosophy of this event. Multiple stakeholders that come together, take important problems, small on the ground and larger society, and work truly together in a collaborative manner, in a co-development manner, to crack solution in an ethical and responsible manner.
And we've done it, right? We kind of sort of did it during COVID. There's nothing like a crisis to get us to work together. And so capturing that intensity, we have the same intensity now in terms of our healthcare system. And so capturing that intensity in that sense of get it done and get it done yesterday, carrying that forward. Go ahead, Justin.
I'd say the future for me is, for the healthcare sector, is to be more data-enabled. I think that was the common thread in what we've all been saying. And for my part of that value chain, we need to continue to think about commercialization and implementation also. And making sure that there are some incentives for partnerships between public and private, and incentives for hospitals to implement AI, and doing partnership research with the private partners.
And think about the data that we have. Think about this country, small population, but one of the most demographically diverse populations in the world. When you think of genetic and other sorts of data, we can actually feed the world in terms of data-rich solutions based on the demographic diversity of our population. And capturing that data without compromising its confidentiality and the privacy around that is a mindset problem. It's not a technology problem. We can't, I'm right on that, I think. We can do that. We can do that.
Yep.
All right. Mara.
I'll pick up on what you said and what Justin said. We need to change our narrative and we need to change our ambition. So let me speak on both. We need to, internally as a country in Canada, we need to change our narrative around innovation in healthcare from a nice to have to a need to have. With some exceptions. I think in a lot of hospitals we've gone to, innovation is this separate office, this separate stream, no urgency, it's a nice to have, we'll do a pilot. We are never going to make innovation a core driver of operational improvement when it's over in just the office of innovation. So I think our entire narrative there needs to change. On our ambitions, we shouldn't only be thinking about healthcare solutions for our system. Of course, we need to prove our system. We should be building globally competitive healthcare technology companies. And we have to say that, right? Like, we aren't doing that yet. And we should, as you said, we have the best data. It is representative. Everybody gets to go to the same hospital. It's not like only certain insurance is taken at your hospital. That is the beauty of our single-payer system. And it takes a lot to build those companies. We do a good job in supporting startups. We don't have enough 500, 600, 800 million companies, billion-dollar companies. Our goal should be to be an exporter of health technology to the world. And that needs to come from the top of our country, and the funding and support, needs to come.
That's a whole other panel.
It's a whole other panel, sorry.
Whole other panel on how do we grow Canadian companies, period, let alone Canadian healthcare companies. How do we grow Canadian companies?
But
full
it's
stop, and
changing
which is
companies'
what I do every day.
experience at
See it.
home is what gives them the head start to go
100%.
global. So it still relates to what we're
100%.
talking about.
Kathy, do you want to say something on this? You're good. Bring us home.
Yeah, so I think we have a huge opportunity here in Quebec and Canada for a few reasons in AI. First of all, we have central medical databases, repositories, like here in Quebec, the DSQ that's being rebuilt, I hear. We have provincial single payer systems that could make procurement easier. All of this accelerating research and clinical trials. We wouldn't have to connect to 16,500 hospitals across the United States. We could connect to one central medical repository with the patients accord and conduct research and get to clinical trials, get to the data quicker. And what really gets me excited, what got me excited by building this company in the past 3 years is the possibility of being able to use your words today. Take this data from the DSQ or from hospital EHRs, push it up to a graph database, let's say, and start using your words to interact with the data. A little bit like when you use ChatGPT, but ChatGPT for medicine, where you can start having a conversation with your data and find trends in it, find biomarkers at an exponential rate that can completely change research.
And with that, I hope you can all move from those rather somber data points that we started the conversation with and see the promise and see the potential. And to use perhaps a bit of an unfair analogy, we own the podium when it comes to things like hockey. In this country, we come together as a country, we source raw talent, we bring in the best coaches and trainers, we support, we guide, we thin the herd, and we go for the gold. And we have to have the same kind of all for one, one for all approach when it comes to building healthcare systems and healthcare companies of the future that are going to be powered by AI. And let's not forget where AI started. It started in this country. In fact, it started a lot in this city, and some of the founders of AI are walking around this stadium today. And so we know we can do it. And it's going to depend on all of us doing what we've heard our panelists speak about today, seeing the power of collaboration, focusing on delivering a result, and not letting history and mindset get in the way. We can do this. You guys are doing it, and we're going to do it together. So we're now going to pivot with no introductions, because we're a little bit short on time, and you're going to hear two pitches from two startup companies. So assume that you're all investors here. These guys are not going to get any introduction, and they've each got 5 minutes to win your investment dollars.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of recurring sort of themes from what's already been said. My name's Andre Diamond. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Gray, and really our focus is to provide one software that can coordinate and optimize oncology operations. So really break down the silos across radiation therapy, infusion therapy, imaging, and make sure all the resources are being used as efficiently as possible, and then that patients are getting treated as quickly as possible. We really were born a few years ago, just as COVID was starting. Myself, my partner, and a trio of professors with backgrounds in healthcare logistics, operations research, AI, and a desire really to translate that research into actual clinical practice. At that time, we had the support of two organizations, which you've heard a lot about today, the SHIM and Scale AI, which really enabled us to actually take those next steps and begin to build the company. Assuming my clicker works, which it doesn't. So there were a few, I could just go next slide and hope that there's someone up there. There we go. And I can go next slide a few times until we fill up the screen. There's a lot of operational pains across cancer care. And these are both within a silo, or within silos and across silos. Within individual silos, they're using legacy, sort of ineffective software that's not built for operational efficiency, and that's in the face of increasing cancer rates and staff shortages. Across departments, which there is a graphic if we press the forward button a couple times, Across departments, we have one more time, we have a very fragmented system and a very complex system where you have all of these different interventions that are required for something as simple as a breast cancer trajectory. And often these can be done in different databases and a lot of telephone being played. So if we press go twice, one more time. Perfect. So what we put together back in 2020 with the support of the SHIM and Scale AI was sort of a very early iteration of Grey OS. And we look at this like an operating system for oncology. And as I said, the idea is sort of 3 foundational pillars. First, we build this knowledge base, which has this representation of the supply and the demand through a health system. What does the patient flow going through look like? What do they need? And then on the supply side, excellent. On the supply side, what does the resources of the operating environment look like? And then trying to sync those 2 things up. When you have that digital representation, then you can unlock strategic planning and optimize operational efficiency. Very concretely, what does this mean? Within each department, we have automated scheduling, basically just coordinating that entire process for each department, and managing care plans. So again, having this rich understanding of what a patient trajectory actually looks like. Across departments, because we're not doing this in a silo, you can visualize what those trajectories look like, and then have a simulation tool that allows you to be more proactive, where we could try and better understand what happens if a quarter of my staff have to quarantine, or cancer rates are going up by 10% in the next 3 years. How many more resources do I need? And you can try to sort of right-size the supply, prior to actually being underwater. Right now, you can see sort of these 6 little graphics represent the silos that we connect. Infusion therapy and radiation therapy are the 2 big ones. And then there are appendages, for lack of a better word, that are very closely linked, being the pharmacy, lab, imaging, and physician consultations. So now where I wanted to close, very, very grateful and proud to be able to share that once again with the support of Scale AI, we're part of a pan-provincial consortium, including 8 hospitals in the Canadian Cancer Society, to really move this forward and take the next major steps developing this platform. To give a couple of concrete examples of really what that means is supercharging the predictive analytics, so being able to predict appointment durations, appointment cancellations, and then when we're putting together these schedules, we can build a very robust schedule, and hopefully patients can actually have an appointment at 3 o'clock when they say it's at 3 o'clock instead of 45 minutes later, or adding some significant amount of noise. And then also shifting from a reactive approach to a more proactive approach. And rather than you being underwater and then us trying to help you get out from underwater, us actually being able to sort of flag something, say, in 3 days, this looks like it might be an operational issue. Let's see what we can do in advance. With that, I believe I'll give you guys a bit of time left, but thank you again for attending and for the organizers for allowing me to speak.
Awesome.
This one works.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thought the panel was great. So I want to talk quickly about Integrate AI. As an organization, our mission is really to help integrate AI to solve the world's most important problems without compromising the world's most sensitive data. Obviously, we know that AI is a big opportunity. The AI market is predicted to be $14 trillion annually, with more than 70% of companies around the world participating by 2030. However, we still see that 80% of data science projects are failing. So on the ground, we're not yet seeing this translate into success. And if we ask the question of why, the simple answer is data. We have an AI problem that is actually more of a data problem that we need to resolve, and I think we heard this on the panel today. In health, this is a particular problem around dark data. So up to 97% of health data is dark, meaning that it's not AI ready. It is in silos. A lot of it is on-prem in older systems. And obviously, it's highly sensitive. And the solution here needs to be trying to find ways to light up more of that health data for AI. This is going to come in 3 different ways. One is we have to make it AI ready. So we need to make sure that it is prepared for use. that it is discoverable and easy to evaluate. Data obviously is highly contextual, so there's not necessarily good or bad data. A lot of it has to do with the model that it's there to serve, and so being able to evaluate it effectively, working backwards from data, from the models in first principles is important. We need to make sure it's integrated. I think we know that a lot of this data is sitting on-prem right now, slowly migrating in some cases to cloud. If it's in cloud, it might be in hybrid cloud. Being able to make sure that we can access that data where it is and be able to make it useful is really important. And finally, obviously, anything that we do has to be safe. And so privacy safe, regulatory compliant, and secure. The way that we think this can be accomplished is really around trying to work within the gravity of data as opposed to change it. So the gravity of data is that it's distributed. It's being collected in many organizations, in many devices. And one of the things that we can do to be able to work into that natural gravity is something called federated learning. It's the core of the platform that we've built, and essentially it reverses the traditional way of thinking about machine learning or AI. So instead of centralizing the data as step one and training a machine learning model or an AI model on it, what this does is it actually moves the model to wherever the data is located. Therefore, you never need to move the data outside of its secure location. What this allows you to do is meet a lot of the regulatory boundaries that we're confronted with while making that data useful for collaboration immediately. So example here is, say, a pharma company that's looking to be able to collaborate on drug discovery or some aspect of clinical trial, being able to kind of plug into providers or centers with our task runners on the other side can allow you to be able to collaborate much faster without having to worry about the data moving. Our platform is really built for multiple sides of this equation. So one is around if you are sitting there with really valuable data, but maybe it is not in a format yet that it's kind of AI ready or ready for collaboration. We have something called the data productizer. It allows you to easily check in that data, set the governance, and it does some remediation to be able to make it available and ready for collaboration. On the demand side, if you are there trying to access more data for collaboration, we have a data science hub that allows you to run analytics or AI use cases across siloed data without having to move the data. And then finally, we are building out very specific marketplaces. So open data, other data that is private already in our system, we're opening that up in a marketplace format so that you can find new collaborators and new data sets that might be helpful for your specific AI or ML jobs. One of the case studies I wanted to show today is a homegrown case study supported by Digital. The lead here was our partners at DNA Stack. I think this is a great example of what we could do in terms of the collaboration space in AI. This is an example of a consortium that's really focused on being able to improve research into neurology, specifically focused in ADHD and autism to start. We see over 20 different network partners across kind of life sciences, government agencies, health systems, research institutes. And you can see there that there's over 100 different research studies that are being planned and enabled through the system. We see over 4,000 terabytes of genomics data. And this is obviously a huge step forward in terms of making genomics data, which is quite heavy and challenging to work with, more available for some real leading AI research. Here's a couple examples of what can be done through the platform. So there's a great example on the drug discovery side from Cyclica, now Recursion, being able to access data from clinical data, genomics data, both in Canada as well as in Europe, as well as their internal data. We see on the research side, researchers from SickKids, Holland Bloorview, and others doing things like developing polygenic risk scores for ASD and other really meaningful research that had been previously blocked. So again, we're here as an enabling technology. It's really about how can we help you to be able to move faster and get over a lot of the technical privacy and security issues that might be in your way of accessing high quality data for your ML and AI projects. And so if you're in pharma or bio and you're looking to access more collaboration, more partnerships, or if you're a healthcare provider who's looking to get access to more AI-ready data or make your data more available for collaboration, or a consortium or partnership that's looking for technology to really accelerate your efforts, would love to speak with you. Thank you very much.
Well, I think that's a wrap. You heard me coughing and crying, and it wasn't because of allergic reactions to anything here. It was excitement. It was excitement about the future. Thank you both. Thank you for the shout-outs to Scale AI and to Digital. These are 2 of the 5 global innovation clusters across Canada, part of some of the most ambitious public policy in this country to change the innovation landscape, to actually turn upside down a lot of the approaches that we've taken to innovation, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in AI, whether it's in manufacturing or other parts of our economy, so that we really can capture the brilliance of some of the people that all of the people that we've got up here, not some of them, and many of you, so that we actually can change the trajectory of Canada's success when it comes to building a healthier population for us, for our children, and our grandchildren. We can do this. We can only do it if we think about the results that we need, that we work together, and we don't let history get in our way. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Sue. Well done.
Here we go.
This way if you want. Yeah. Thanks, panelists. Thanks, presenters. Well done.